advance from our beautiful family from all over the world connect through the gift of technology online. And then we open it up to any questions that anyone here has. There's a microphone here. So if you have a question, just come up to the mic and share your name and where you're from and your question. But beginning with one of those that's come in advance. What is the difference between suppression and letting go? How does one know if you're suppressing something or letting it go? And this is asked by our brother Parag. So, one of the things that we speak about a lot in satsang and that I emphasize a lot in teaching is the importance of letting go. All of that we hold on to suffocates us. Just see. Ask yourself, are you angry in some way? Not necessarily about something of today. It could be something from 10, 15, 30 years ago. But are you angry? Are you holding a grudge? Do you feel guilty about something that you did or shameful about something that you did? Are you holding on to that? Just ask yourself for a moment, is there something you're holding on to? For most of us, the answer is yes. For most of us, it's many things. Angry at this person, angry at this person, angry at myself for that, angry at this from today, angry at this from 10 years ago, angry at this from 30 years ago. We've got usually a whole list of things. Different ones are more up at different times. But those things themselves are actually what keep us stuck. Our minds tell us, if only those people would be different. If only I could rewind life and redo that mistake I made, that thing that I regret, that thing that I feel guilty about or shameful about. If only this person who hurt me would apologize or would come back and fix it. Or if lightning would just strike them dead, then I would be okay. We think that it's that person or that thing they did or are doing or that thing that we did, that somehow we think that's what keeps us stuck, but it isn't. It's our holding on to it. It is our anger. It is our grudge. It is the guilt. It is the shame. It is that expectation that things should be any different than they are. That's what keeps us stuck. And so I speak a lot in here about letting go. Letting go into Ganga. Letting go into the fire. Why? Not because we're doormats, not because spirituality makes you a pushover or makes you weak, because that's always everybody's question. If I let things go, then people will walk all over me. No. Letting go is actually for the one who is strong. People think, oh, if I say sorry, then they're going to think I'm weak. But it's actually the opposite. It's the one who won't say sorry, the one who won't let go, who we realize is troubled, weaker. The one who, I remember, true story, Pujya Swamiji was driving. This was in the days before we had all of the flights and good trains. We used to have to drive all the time between Delhi and Rishikesh. And the roads were very long. Now, thankfully, if there's not too much traffic, it's quick. But in those days, it took 6, 7, it could take 8 hours. And I remember Pujya Swamiji was driving to Delhi to catch a flight. He had an international flight. And there's a jam. And in the days before flyovers, in the days before these beautiful highway bypasses, if there was a jam on the road, matlab, your entire day could go, literally. You literally could spend all day long sitting there. And we sat and we sat and we sat. And finally, the driver had gotten out and he says, 2 truck drivers. You know, because what happens on the way that the Indian roads are, not the new ones, but the old ones, there's no proper dividers. So you know, okay, you're supposed to stay on your side. But nobody does. They want to pass. And then everybody getting clever thinks they're going to pass, and you end up in a situation where you've got one guy going this way, one guy going that way, face to face, can't budge, there's cars all around, can't back up. Jam. So the driver came back and told Pujya Swamiji, like, mujhe lagta nahi ki ho payega. I don't think you're going to. Get out. But Pujya Swamiji said, I've got to make my flight. So he gets out of the car. I had never seen him do it before. I've never seen him do it since then. But he got out and he went to where the 2 truck drivers were standing. They were both out of their car having a screaming match. And this one says, he did this. And there were all these people. In India, it's great. Sab samne aate hai to fix the jam. Everybody else had gotten out of their cars to direct traffic and try to clear the jam. But these 2 guys would not budge. And so, he's in the wrong. So Pujya Swamiji says, chalo, aapko unki aur se main maafi mangta hu. Aapko unki aur se main maafi mangta hu. Basically, he apologized to each of the drivers on behalf of each of the drivers. So he said to one driver on behalf of the other guy, I'm so sorry. He said to the other driver on behalf of the other guy, I'm so sorry. Accept my apologies and move your vehicles. So they finally did. But that's what happens in our lives. We hold on to things and they make us stuck. Stuck on the road, stuck in our lives, stuck in our hearts. So we speak a lot about this. Letting go. Now, the question that Parag has asked is, what is the difference between suppression and letting go? Because if I'm angry, or I feel guilt, or I feel shame, suppressing it is just going to hurt me further. The answer is not deny it, or suppress it, or repress it, or pretend it's not there. And so it's a great question. When you really let go of something, there is a spaciousness. You'll notice that when you hold on to something, all of your muscles tighten and clench. The face, the head, the neck, the chest, the stomach, the back, like everything tightens and clenches. When you let go, everything expands. Repression and suppression, denial, it actually takes a lot of energy. Our true self is truthful. That's why little kids don't lie. You have to teach kids how to lie. Normally they don't lie. It's why people who we would consider mentally challenged don't lie. You have to actually be cultured and socialized and indoctrinated to actually know how to lie. So lying when I'm suppressing something, or I'm repressing it, or I'm denying it, I'm pretending it's not there, I'm lying to myself. It's stressful. It causes more tension. It does not cause expansion and relaxation. I'm tense about the anger, and then I have to be more tense to suppress it, to keep it down. It takes a lot of energy. Letting go allows us to expand. It allows us to get back our energy. It lets the muscles, it lets the nerves in the physical body, in the emotional body, in the energetic body, everything expands. So if you feel that you are contracting, chances are it could be suppression. If you feel that you are expansive, chances are you're letting go. Suppression and repression also require us, it's the, I'm not going to think about it, 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 I'm not going to think about it. We're pushing something away. Not thinking about it, not thinking about it, not thinking about it, not thinking about it. I'm not thinking about how much I hate him, not thinking about how much I hate him, not thinking about how much I hate him. Well, what am I doing? I'm thinking about how much I hate it. I'm kidding myself that I've repressed it or pushed it aside. It's right there. I'm lying to myself. If I really let go, that person, not only the action, but that person themselves doesn't even come into my consciousness. I'm not even thinking about them. And if they do arise in my consciousness, they arise without that sting. It's not that I have to say, oh, get out of my mind, get out of my mind, I'm not supposed to be thinking about you. That's suppression. But it means, okay, that person floated into my consciousness. It's okay. I can think about them without the sting because I've let it go. So check yourself in terms of expansion and contraction. And then you'll be able to see what's really letting go and what's just suppression. But it's a great question. Thank you. Yeah. Other questions? Any question that anyone here has? Yes. Come forward. Welcome home. Sure, you can just be loud. No problem. Okay. I'll repeat it. They always have some sound troubles. Yeah, it's okay.
My question is, you know me and you know I move a lot and I'm always doing different things in different places. And I heard the other day that this is not good, that I should be stable, that when you're stable in one place that it's better.
Great question.
But,
Great question. Okay. I get it. So Karuna has asked, she said, you know me, and I do know her. She's always moving around, different places, different explorations, different adventures, different learnings, and she said, and I love that. She said, but I heard recently that you should be stable, that you should not be moving around so much. So the stability that we need is a stability in our mind. Much more important than stability in the body. Traveling is beautiful. Adventures are beautiful. Traditionally, the sadhus, they moved every day. Every day, different place. Every day, different place. Many of the traditions of renunciants, of monks, move every day. The issue is when the body is moving, it's kind of hard to keep the mind still. It's a sadhana. It's a challenge. It's, in fact, probably one of the reasons that it's given to sadhaks, to sadhus, to monks, because it's a challenge. Keep moving the legs, moving the body, but keeping the mind. Swamiji was young and was with his guru. They would move every day. But he had to just keep chanting his mantra, mind on the mantra, eyes looking down. Never getting wrapped up in what he was seeing. He wasn't even allowed to lift his eyes and kind of look around. Mind had to stay fully in the mantra. So the point is that the mind needs to be still and stable. If you can do that with your body moving, wonderful, no problem. But for a lot of people, the stability of mind requires stability of body. It's why when we sit to meditate, it's so much easier to meditate if you don't move. Yeah, you can do dancing meditation. You can do moving meditation, of course. There's different lineages that teach different ways to meditate. But throughout history, most of the lineages, most of the teachings have focused on be still. Because when the body is still, it makes it a lot easier for the mind to be still. But if you can keep your mind still while the body is moving, then absolutely no problem. But the last important piece of this is the flip side. When a lot of us sit down to meditate with a still body, the mind gets actually more agitated. And the mind says, stand up, stand up, stand up. Check the coffee machine, check your email, get to work early. There's going to be traffic. It's constantly trying to do something to get us to move because the still body makes the mind more restless because the mind does not want to be brought into a state of stillness. If my eyes are closed, there's no sound around me, I'm not moving, there's nothing for my mind to latch onto, and it almost has to go inward. And for a lot of people, for most of our egos, that's a really scary place. The ego doesn't like that. The ego would much rather be stuck in traffic yelling at the other drivers, would much rather be grocery shopping or ticking errands off of the to-do list. And so sometimes when you are still, as a defense mechanism, the mind will say, move, 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 because it doesn't want to have to go within. It doesn't want the challenge of what being still means. If you find that just as you start to get stable, anchored, grounded, spiritually expansive, connected in a place, and by the way, for some people this happens in relationships as well. It's not only in physical places. Sometimes it also happens in romantic relationships. We just start to get deep, connected, grounded, expansive, and the ego defense mechanism says, get out of here. Run for your life. But it's going to wrap it in the illusion of, I'm bored, I've learned everything I have to learn from this place or this relationship, it's not challenging me, I'm not living up to my full potential, etc., etc. So if that's what's pushing your movement, make yourself stay seated. But you and only you are going to be able to tap in to really knowing what's going on inside. Beautiful. Other questions? Any other questions? Yes.
Like you said in your first question, to let it go, but sometimes in the anger situations it is get very impossible for a person in that situation to let it go at the present, and that's why it carries for many time or period of how to get it let out of you, how to leave it out of you. That's why.
When you say a problem that's been going on for many years, as in something you have to solve.
Yeah.
Great. So yeah, when we say letting go, it doesn't mean don't solve your problems. It doesn't mean run away from your problems. Yeah, life has challenges. There are struggles, there are challenges, situations that we're in that absolutely require us to keep figuring out how to solve this. You don't just give up and say forget it. I have some beautiful, beautiful friends who in their youth had gone off to an island to grow all of their own food, to just live as simple and pure and spiritual a life as they could. But they had never grown food before. They had no idea actually about gardening. And so they tell the stories of the first year, literally picking out all of their food, thinking it was the weeds, and letting all of the weeds grow. They were very hungry that year. They lived on rice and wheat, which were the two things that they actually bought from outside. But you wouldn't say, oh God, we had no vegetables this year at all. All right, let it go. Maybe we're just not supposed to have any kind of nutrients in our life. Let's just, don't worry, forget about it. They learned. They learned gardening. One hungry year was enough to teach them a lesson. They learned gardening. How do you know? What does a weed look like? What does a sprout look like? How do you know? And so problems that are given to us for us to solve. Whether it's with weeds in our garden, whether it's with family members, whether it's with other people, whether it's with something in, our skills or abilities that we want to do, we're not able to do, whatever way it may be. We should always look at how we can solve the problem. Use your creativity, use your compassion, use your curiosity. If you find that you've been trying to solve the same problem for years and it's not working, can you get creative? Can you look at it from a different angle? Some other way. And ultimately, can you pray about it? There's a beautiful story of a little boy who was playing in his sandbox. And he noticed one day that there was this huge rock in his sandbox. And it was taking up a lot of space, and he wanted the rock out of the sandbox. But it was a big rock. It had fallen somewhere there in the night. And he kept trying to push it and lift it, but he wasn't strong enough. He was just a little toddler. Couldn't lift the rock, couldn't push it. And he kept trying everything. And nothing worked. And finally he started to cry. And his dad was watching him from the window up above, and his dad goes down when he starts to cry, and the boy says, "Nothing I do is working." And the father says, "Well, have you used all your resources?" And the boy says, "Yes." He says, "I used my arms, I used my legs, I tried to kick it, I tried to push it, I tried to lift it. Nothing worked." And the father said, "Well, but you haven't used me yet. I'm also your resource. I was just in the window above. If you had just said, 'Hey, Dad, come down and get this rock out of my sandbox,' I would have come and gotten it for you." And I love the story because we usually think of prayer as kind of a last resort. When nothing else works, pray to God. But realize that prayer can be our first resort also. And recognizing that that is a great resource, that sometimes you need divine intervention. Some energetic shift in either your vision, your ability to look at it, your ability to see it from a different angle, or some other way. But if you've got a problem that you've been struggling with for a long time, stay curious, stay creative, but also remember all of your resources. And pray, just every day pray, "God, show me. Show me the way. Clearly the problem is solvable. Show me the way." Beautiful. Beautiful. Have a beautiful rest of your evenings. We will now, by God's grace, be joining together for satsang in the evenings after the arti. So I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. And so much love to you all.